I never thought my 25th birthday would become the day that changed everything. Not just my perspective on family, not just my understanding of loyalty, but literally everything about my entire existence. And I mean that in the most dramatic, life-altering way possible. My name is Ethan, and this is the story of how my family's ultimate betrayal led to the most satisfying revenge I could have ever imagined. But before I get to the good part, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for what happens at the end, let me paint you a picture of just how deep this betrayal went. Picture this. It's March 15th, my birthday. I'd been planning this day for months, not because I'm some attention-seeking person who needs a big celebration, but because this particular birthday meant everything to me. You see, I'd just landed my dream job at a prestigious marketing firm in downtown Chicago. After years of struggling, working dead-end jobs, and watching my younger sister Melissa get everything handed to her on a silver platter, I finally had something to celebrate. I'd sent out invitations 3 weeks prior. Not fancy printed ones, I couldn't afford that, but heartfelt text messages and calls to everyone who mattered. My parents, my sister, my 2 uncles, my grandparents, even my cousin Jake, who I'd grown up with like a brother. The plan was simple. Dinner at my small apartment. Nothing fancy, just the people I loved celebrating this milestone with me. I spent the entire day preparing. I'm talking about cleaning my apartment until it sparkled, cooking my grandmother's famous lasagna recipe that takes literally 6 hours to make properly, setting up a playlist of everyone's favorite songs, and even buying decent wine with money I probably shouldn't have spent. I was so excited. Genuinely excited. 6 o'clock came and went. No one showed up. 7 o'clock. Still nothing. I called my mom. Straight to voicemail. 8 o'clock. I tried my dad. Voicemail. By 9 o'clock, I was sitting alone in my apartment, surrounded by enough food to feed 8 people, wearing my best shirt, with 25 candles melting into a store-bought cake that I'd decorated myself. The reality was starting to sink in. My own family had stood me up on my birthday. But here's where the story gets interesting. At around 9:30, my phone buzzed. A notification from Instagram. My sister Melissa had posted a story, and what I saw made my blood turn to ice. There they were, every single person I'd invited to my birthday dinner. My parents, my uncles, my grandparents, cousin Jake, all of them dressed up fancy, smiling and laughing at what looked like an elegant wedding reception. The caption read, "Such a beautiful wedding. So happy to celebrate love. Family time. Best wedding ever." I screenshotted that story so fast it probably broke some kind of record, but I needed to see more. I needed to understand what was happening. So I did what any rational person would do. I started investigating. I scrolled through the tagged location, the Riverside Country Club, the most expensive venue in our entire county. I looked at the hashtags, searched through other people's posts from the same event, and that's when I found it. The post that made everything click into place and simultaneously made me feel like I was going to be sick. The bride and groom's official wedding photographer had posted a collection of photos with the caption, "Congratulations to the beautiful couple. What a magical day celebrating Amanda and Tyler's love story." Amanda fucking Rodriguez. Let me tell you about Amanda Rodriguez, because this is where my story goes from sad birthday disappointment to something much, much darker. Amanda Rodriguez was my college girlfriend. We dated for 3 years. I thought I was going to marry this woman. I was head over heels, planning our future, already picking out engagement rings, in love with her. She was everything to me. Beautiful, smart, funny, ambitious. We had the same dreams, the same goals, the same vision for our future. During our senior year, I was working 2 part-time jobs to save money for the engagement ring I'd already picked out. I wanted to propose right after graduation. I had it all planned out. A romantic dinner at the place where we had our first date, the ring hidden in dessert, our families there to celebrate. It was going to be perfect. But 3 months before graduation, Amanda started acting weird, distant, always busy, always making excuses not to spend time together. I thought it was graduation stress. I thought she was just worried about finding a job after college. I was supportive. I was understanding. I was a complete fucking idiot. The truth came out in the most humiliating way possible. I walked into our favorite coffee shop near campus to surprise her with lunch, and there she was, making out with Tyler Mitchell. Tyler Mitchell, who happened to be the son of one of the wealthiest families in our city. Tyler Mitchell, whose dad owned half the commercial real estate in downtown. Tyler Mitchell, who drove a BMW that cost more than most people make in a year. But it gets worse. So much worse. When I confronted her, Amanda didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She looked annoyed. Annoyed that I'd caught them, annoyed that she had to deal with this conversation. She told me, and I quote, "Ethan, be realistic. You work at a grocery store and a pizza place. Tyler's family has money. Real money. I can't build a future with someone who can't even afford to take me on decent dates." She broke up with me right there, in front of Tyler, in front of half our graduating class who happened to be in the coffee shop. The humiliation was complete, but what made it even worse was learning that she'd been cheating on me with Tyler for 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of me working extra shifts to save for her engagement ring. 6 months of me thinking we were building something beautiful together. That breakup destroyed me. I'm not exaggerating when I say it nearly broke me completely. I fell into a depression that lasted almost 2 years. I couldn't focus on job interviews, couldn't get excited about my future, couldn't trust anyone. My grades suffered, my career prospects suffered, my relationship with my family suffered because I became this bitter, angry person who couldn't move on. And now, 3 years later, on my 25th birthday, my entire family had chosen to celebrate Amanda's wedding to Tyler instead of celebrating with me. I sat there in my apartment, staring at those Instagram photos, trying to process what this meant. Had they been invited and not told me? Did they know I would be devastated and just not care? Did they think I was over it and wouldn't mind? I needed answers. So I called my sister. "Melissa," I said when she finally picked up, "It's my birthday." There was a pause. Then in the background I could hear music and laughter and the distinct sound of a wedding reception in full swing. "Oh shit," she said. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. We're at this wedding and it's been such a crazy day and—" "Amanda's wedding," I interrupted. "You're at Amanda Rodriguez's wedding." Another pause. Longer this time. "How did you—" "You posted about it on Instagram, Melissa. You all did. Mom, Dad, Uncle Ben, Uncle Mike, Grandma, Grandpa, Jake. Every single person I invited to my birthday dinner is at my ex-girlfriend's wedding instead." I could hear her walking away from the noise, probably finding somewhere more private to talk. "Ethan, listen. I know this looks bad, but it's not what you think. Then explain it to me. Explain how you all ended up at the wedding of the woman who destroyed me 3 years ago, on my birthday, instead of at my apartment like you promised." "Her mom invited the whole family," Melissa said, and I could tell she was trying to choose her words carefully. "Mrs. Rodriguez has been friends with Mom since high school, you know that. When the invitation came, it was addressed to the Johnson family. Mom felt obligated to go. All of you felt obligated to go. It's complicated, Ethan." "No, Melissa, it's really not. You had a choice between my birthday dinner and Amanda's wedding, and you chose Amanda's wedding. What's complicated about that?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that made me realize this betrayal was so much deeper than I thought. "Ethan, Amanda specifically asked about you. She wanted to make sure you were okay with us being here. She said she hoped you were doing well, and that she'd love to catch up sometime." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "She asked about me? Yeah, she seems really happy, but she said she always wondered how you were doing. She seemed genuine, Ethan, like she actually cared." And that's when it hit me, the full picture of what was happening. Amanda hadn't just moved on from our relationship. She'd moved so far beyond it that she felt comfortable enough to invite my family to her wedding. She was so confident that I was no longer a factor in her life, that she could casually ask about me like I was some distant acquaintance. To her, I was so irrelevant that my presence or absence at her wedding didn't even matter. "I have to go," I told Melissa. "Enjoy the wedding." I hung up and sat in my apartment surrounded by my birthday dinner that no one had come to eat, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not sadness, not depression, pure, focused rage. But here's the thing about rage. It can either destroy you or it can fuel you. And after 3 years of letting Amanda's betrayal define my life, after 3 years of feeling sorry for myself, after watching my family choose her celebration over mine, I decided to let it fuel me. That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to destroy Amanda Rodriguez. Not physically, obviously. I'm not a violent person and I don't believe in hurting people. But I was going to systematically, carefully, strategically destroy the perfect life she'd built with Tyler's money. And I was going to do it in a way that would make my family's betrayal seem like a small price to pay for the satisfaction of watching her world crumble. But first, I needed information. I spent the next 2 weeks doing research. Deep research. The kind of research that would make a private investigator proud. I created fake social media accounts. I reconnected with old college friends who might have information. I even drove by Tyler's family business a few times to get a feel for their operation. What I discovered was better than I could have hoped for. Amanda wasn't just Mrs. Tyler Mitchell now. She was the marketing director for Mitchell Properties, Tyler's family's real estate company. According to her LinkedIn profile, she'd been promoted to this position just 6 months after they started dating. What a coincidence, right? But here's what was even more interesting. Mitchell Properties was in the middle of the biggest deal in their company's history. They were developing a massive mixed-use complex downtown that would include residential units, commercial space, and retail. The project was worth over $50 million, and Amanda was listed as the primary marketing strategist for the entire development. I dug deeper. Building permits, city council meetings, investor presentations, all public information if you know where to look. And what I found was fascinating. The project was scheduled to break ground in 6 weeks, but there was a problem they didn't know they had yet. You see, in my 3 years of working various jobs after Amanda destroyed my life, one of those jobs was as a research assistant for an environmental law firm. I'd spent 8 months learning about environmental impact studies, zoning regulations, and historical preservation requirements. It was boring work, but it taught me how to navigate city bureaucracy and understand development regulations. And Mitchell Properties had made a mistake, a big one. The land they were planning to develop had been the site of a small cemetery in the 1800s. The cemetery had been relocated in the 1920s, but according to the historical records I found in the city archives, the relocation had been incomplete. There were still several unmarked graves on the property. This information wasn't in any of their environmental impact studies. It wasn't in their development proposals. It wasn't anywhere in their public filings, but it was going to be. Here's what most people don't understand about real estate development. Once you start construction and then discover human remains, everything stops. Not just for a few days, for months, sometimes years. The Historical Society gets involved. The state archaeological team gets involved. Lawyers get involved. And investors? Investors run away as fast as they can. I had the power to destroy a $50 million project with a single phone call to the right person at the city planning office. But I wanted more than just professional damage. I wanted personal devastation. I wanted Amanda to feel the same humiliation, the same betrayal, the same complete destruction of her future that she'd inflicted on me. So I came up with a plan that was beautiful in its simplicity and devastating in its execution. I was going to let them start construction. I was going to let them invest millions of dollars, hire contractors, get investors excited, and generate publicity about this amazing new development. I was going to let Amanda take full credit for the marketing strategy and build her reputation on this project's success. And then, at the moment of maximum impact, I was going to pull the rug out from under all of it. But first, I had some relationship rebuilding to do. I called my parents and told them I understood about the wedding. I said I realized they'd been put in an awkward position with Mrs. Rodriguez, and I didn't want them to feel bad about choosing to go. I was mature about it. I was understanding. I was completely fucking lying, but they didn't need to know that. I also told them I was doing really well, that I'd gotten this great job, that I was excited about my future, and that I was even grateful for everything that had happened with Amanda because it made me stronger. I laid it on thick, but not so thick that it seemed fake. The result was exactly what I'd hoped for. They felt terrible about missing my birthday, and they wanted to make it up to me. "Why don't we have a family dinner this weekend?" my mom suggested. "We can celebrate your birthday properly." "That sounds great, Mom. Actually, I have some exciting news about work that I'd love to share with everyone." Perfect. I was back in the family's good graces, and I had established myself as someone who was thriving and moving forward with his life. This would be important later. Meanwhile, I was monitoring Amanda and Tyler's social media accounts religiously. They'd returned from their honeymoon in Italy, documented extensively on Instagram naturally, and Amanda had thrown herself into the marketing campaign for the Mitchell Properties development. She was posting about it constantly. Pictures of architectural models, meetings with city officials, interviews with local business journals. She was positioning herself as this brilliant marketing strategist who was going to revolutionize downtown development. The local newspaper had even done a feature article about her titled, "The Young Innovator Transforming Our City's Skyline." It was perfect. The bigger her reputation became, the more devastating her fall would be. 3 weeks into my plan, Amanda did something I hadn't expected. She reached out to me. It started with a LinkedIn connection request. I accepted it, curious to see what she wanted. 2 days later, I got a message from her. "Hi, Ethan. I hope you're doing well. I heard from your family at the wedding that you landed an amazing job in marketing. Congratulations. I'd love to catch up sometime if you're open to it. I know our breakup wasn't ideal, but I've always hoped we could be friends eventually. Let me know if you'd like to grab coffee sometime. Amanda." I stared at that message for probably 10 minutes, trying to decide how to respond. On one hand, this was perfect. She was reaching out to me, which meant I could get closer to her and potentially gather more information for my plan. On the other hand, the audacity of this woman was breathtaking. Our breakup wasn't ideal. She cheated on me for 6 months and dumped me for a richer guy in the most humiliating way possible, and she describes it as not ideal. But I responded. Of course I responded, because I'm not an idiot, and this opportunity was too good to pass up. "Hi, Amanda, thanks for reaching out. I'm doing really well, and I appreciate you asking. I'd be open to catching up over coffee. It would be good to clear the air and move forward as mature adults. How about next Friday at Cornerstone Cafe downtown? Ethan." Her response came within an hour. She was excited to meet up. She suggested a time and confirmed the location. She even added, "I'm really glad we can do this. I think it will be good for both of us." The confidence in that message told me everything I needed to know about Amanda's current mindset. She wasn't nervous about seeing me. She wasn't worried about reopening old wounds. She was completely comfortable with the idea of meeting up because she was completely convinced that she'd moved so far beyond our relationship that it couldn't touch her. She thought she was doing me a favor by agreeing to clear the air. Friday came, and I showed up at Cornerstone Cafe 15 minutes early. I wanted to observe her when she arrived, see how she carried herself, get a read on her current state of mind. She walked in at exactly the time we'd agreed on, and I have to admit, she looked good. Marriage and money agreed with her. Designer clothes, professional haircut, expensive jewelry. She carried herself with the confidence of someone whose life had gone exactly according to plan. She spotted me immediately and walked over with a big smile. "Ethan, oh my God, you look great. How are you?" She even hugged me, like we were old friends who hadn't seen each other in a while, instead of ex-lovers where one had completely devastated the other. We sat down, ordered coffee, and started with the usual small talk. She told me about the honeymoon, about her job, about how much she was loving married life. I told her about my marketing position, about how much I'd grown personally and professionally over the past few years. But then she said something that revealed just how much she'd underestimated the damage she'd caused. "You know, Ethan, I'm really glad to see you doing so well. I was worried about you for a while after we broke up. You seemed to take it harder than I expected, and I felt bad about that." She felt bad that I took it harder than she expected. Not that she'd cheated on me. Not that she'd humiliated me publicly. Not that she'd destroyed a 3-year relationship for money. She felt bad that I'd reacted more strongly than she thought I should have. "Well," I said, keeping my voice level, "it was a difficult time, but it taught me a lot about myself. I'm grateful for the experience, actually." "That's such a mature perspective," she said, looking relieved. "I'm so glad you see it that way. I always hoped we could get to this point." "Actually," I said, "I'm curious about something. How did you and Tyler end up together? I mean, I know you were both at state, but I don't remember you mentioning him when we were dating." Her cheeks got a little pink, but she maintained her composure. "Oh, we met through mutual friends. It was just one of those things where the timing worked out, you know? The timing worked out, I repeated. That's interesting phrasing. She laughed nervously. What do you mean? Well, I mean, you started dating him pretty quickly after we broke up. Some people might say the timing was a little too perfect. Now she looked uncomfortable. Good. Ethan, I hope you're not suggesting. I'm not suggesting anything, I said with a smile. I'm just observing that you and Tyler got together very quickly after our 3-year relationship ended. But like you said, sometimes timing just works out. She took a sip of her coffee and changed the subject to my job. We talked about marketing strategies, industry trends, the challenges of working with different types of clients. It was actually a pleasant conversation, and I could see why she thought this meeting was going well. But then she made a mistake, a big one. She started talking about the Mitchell Properties development. I'm working on this incredible project right now, she said, her eyes lighting up with excitement. It's the biggest thing I've ever been involved with. $50 million mixed-use development right downtown. I'm leading the entire marketing strategy. That sounds amazing, I said. Tell me more about it. And she did. Oh, she absolutely did. For the next 20 minutes, Amanda told me everything. The timeline, the budget, the investors, the architectural plans, the marketing strategy, even some of the internal challenges they were facing with city approvals. She was so excited about this project, so proud of her role in it, that she couldn't stop talking. She even showed me pictures on her phone, architectural renderings, photos of the current site, mock-ups of their marketing materials. This project is going to put me on the map professionally, she said. Tyler's dad is already talking about promoting me to senior marketing director after we break ground. At 25, can you believe it? That's incredible, Amanda. You must have worked really hard to get Tyler's dad to recognize your talents. Again, her cheeks got pink. Well, I mean, I did earn the position. I have the qualifications and experience. Oh, I'm sure you do. I didn't mean to imply otherwise. It's just impressive how quickly you were able to establish yourself at the company after you and Tyler started dating. She was getting flustered now, and I could see her trying to decide whether to address the obvious implication or just move on. She chose to move on. Anyway, she said, I'm really excited about it. We're planning to break ground in 3 weeks. There's going to be a big ceremony with the mayor, local business leaders, investors. It's going to be amazing. 3 weeks, I said. That's exciting. I'm sure you'll want everything to go perfectly. Absolutely. There's no room for error on something this big. One mistake could derail the entire project. She had no idea how right she was. We finished our coffee, said our goodbyes, and promised to keep in touch. She hugged me again and told me how glad she was that we could reconnect as friends. As I watched her walk away, I felt something I hadn't felt in 3 years. Complete, total confidence in my ability to destroy someone who had destroyed me. That night, I finalized my plan. The groundbreaking ceremony was scheduled for Friday, March 12th at 2 p.m. According to the information Amanda had shared, they were expecting over 200 people, investors, city officials, media, community leaders. Amanda had been working on this event for months, and it was going to be the biggest moment of her professional life. I was going to let them have their ceremony. I was going to let them break ground, make speeches, take photos, celebrate their success. I was going to let Amanda bask in the glory of her big moment. And then, at exactly 4 p.m. on Friday, March 12th, I was going to make a phone call that would turn her moment of triumph into her moment of complete professional destruction. But I wasn't going to stop there. You see, over the past few weeks, I'd been doing more research, not just about the cemetery, but about Amanda herself. And I discovered something interesting. Remember how she told everyone, including Tyler, that they'd met through mutual friends, and that the timing of their relationship just worked out? Well, that wasn't exactly true. During my research, I'd tracked down Sarah Martinez, one of our mutual friends from college. Sarah and I had stayed in touch sporadically over the years, and when I reached out to her, she was happy to catch up. During our conversation, Sarah mentioned something interesting. She'd been working as a waitress at a high-end restaurant downtown during our senior year of college, and she remembered seeing Amanda there, multiple times, always with Tyler Mitchell. I thought it was weird, Sarah told me, because I knew she was dating you. But she was there with this other guy like every week for months. They seemed really close, you know, like more than friends. When did this start? I asked. Oh, it was way before you guys broke up. I remember because I kept thinking I should say something to you, but I didn't want to cause drama, if it was innocent. So Amanda hadn't just cheated on me for the last few months of our relationship. She'd been carrying on a full relationship with Tyler for most of our senior year. While I was working 2 jobs to save for her engagement ring, she was having regular dinner dates with her future husband. This information was valuable, but I needed more than just hearsay from a waitress. So I did something that was probably morally questionable, but absolutely necessary. I hired a private investigator. His name was Detective Jim Crawford, and he was a retired police officer who specialized in background investigations and infidelity cases. I explained the situation to him, not the revenge part, obviously, just that I suspected my ex-girlfriend had been cheating longer than I'd known, and I needed concrete evidence for my own peace of mind. He was expensive, but I'd been saving money for months, and this was worth every penny. What Jim found was better than I could have hoped for. Amanda's affair with Tyler hadn't started during our senior year. It had started during our junior year. Almost 18 months of cheating, of lying, of living a double life while I planned our future together. But here's the really good part. Jim found financial records. You see, Tyler hadn't just been dating Amanda during our relationship. He'd been supporting her financially. Expensive dinners, shopping trips, even help with her student loan payments. All of it documented through his credit card statements and bank records that Jim was somehow able to access through his professional connections. Amanda had been essentially kept by Tyler Mitchell for a year and a half, while maintaining a relationship with me. But the absolute best part? Jim found photos. Not intimate photos. I'm not interested in that kind of invasion of privacy. But social photos from Tyler's private social media accounts that showed him and Amanda together at various events and locations during the time when she was supposedly committed to me. Photos with dates and timestamps that proved their relationship had been going on much longer than either of them had admitted. More importantly, these photos showed Amanda wearing expensive jewelry and clothing that she definitely couldn't afford on her part-time job income, and that I knew she hadn't owned when she was with me. Jim's final report was 47 pages long and included a complete timeline of Amanda and Tyler's relationship, financial records showing Tyler's support of Amanda, and photographic evidence of their relationship during the time when Amanda was supposedly committed to me. It was everything I needed for the second phase of my plan. The weekend before the groundbreaking ceremony, I attended my family's belated birthday dinner. Everyone was there: my parents, sister, uncles, grandparents, and cousin Jake. The same people who had chosen Amanda's wedding over my birthday. They'd gone all out to make up for missing my actual birthday. My mom had cooked all my favorite foods. My dad had bought an expensive bottle of wine, and they'd even gotten me a nice gift, a leather portfolio for my new job. During dinner, the conversation inevitably turned to Amanda's wedding. She looked absolutely beautiful, my mom said, and Tyler seems like such a nice young man. His family was very gracious to invite us all. It was quite an event, my dad added. Must have cost a fortune. That venue was incredible. Amanda asked about you, Ethan, my grandmother said. She seemed genuinely interested in how you were doing. Such a sweet girl, if only they knew. Actually, I said, I had coffee with Amanda last week. The entire table went quiet. Everyone stopped eating and looked at me. You did? My sister asked. How did that go? It was fine, I said casually. We cleared the air about everything. She told me about her new job, her marriage, the big project she's working on. It was good to catch up. That's so mature of you, honey, my mom said. I'm proud of you for being able to move past everything that happened. Well, I said, I realized that holding on to anger wasn't serving me. And besides, Amanda has her life now, and I have mine. There's no point in dwelling on the past. They all looked so relieved, so proud of me for being the bigger person. If only they knew what I was planning. In fact, I continued, she invited me to the groundbreaking ceremony for her company's big development project this Friday. I'm thinking about going to show my support. That's wonderful, my dad said. It shows real character to support someone even after they've hurt you. Character, right? Friday morning arrived and I woke up feeling more energized than I had in years. Today was the day. Today was the day Amanda Rodriguez Mitchell learned what real betrayal felt like. I dressed carefully. Business casual, professional, but not overdressed. I wanted to blend in with the crowd at the ceremony. I arrived at the development site at 1:30 p.m., 30 minutes before the ceremony was scheduled to begin. The scene was exactly what Amanda had described. A big white tent, a small stage, rows of chairs for guests, catering tables, and a media area for local news stations. The property itself was a large, empty lot in downtown, surrounded by a chain-link fence that had been decorated with banners advertising the future development. Mitchell Properties Presents Downtown Renaissance, read the main banner, with architectural renderings of the planned mixed-use complex. People were starting to arrive. I recognized some faces from the newspaper coverage of the project: city council members, local business owners, representatives from the bank that was financing the project. Everyone looked excited and optimistic. At 1:45, Tyler and Amanda arrived in a black BMW. Tyler was wearing an expensive suit and looked every inch the successful businessman. Amanda was wearing a bright blue dress and looked absolutely radiant. This was her moment, and she knew it. They worked the crowd like politicians, shaking hands, posing for photos, giving brief interviews to the local media. I watched Amanda in particular, noting how confident she seemed, how comfortable she was in this role. She spotted me in the crowd and waved, looking genuinely pleased that I'd come. She even walked over to say hello. "Ethan, I'm so glad you made it," she said, giving me another one of those casual hugs. "This is so exciting, isn't it?" "It really is," I said. "You must be thrilled. All your hard work is paying off." "I can't believe it's finally happening," she said, looking around at the crowd. "This is the biggest day of my career so far." "Enjoy it," I told her. "You deserve this moment." And I meant it. She deserved every second of what was about to happen to her. At 2 p.m. sharp, the ceremony began. Tyler's father, Richard Mitchell, served as the master of ceremonies. He gave a speech about the importance of downtown development, the company's commitment to the community, and the bright future this project represented for the city. Then Tyler spoke. He talked about carrying on his family's legacy of responsible development, about working with the community to create something beautiful and beneficial for everyone. Finally, Amanda took the stage. "Good afternoon, everyone," she began, her voice clear and confident. 2 years ago, when I first joined the Mitchell Properties team, Richard Mitchell gave me a challenge. He asked me to envision a project that would transform our downtown while respecting our city's history and character. The crowd was eating it up. She was a natural public speaker, engaging and passionate. "Today we break ground on that vision," she continued. "This project represents not just bricks and mortar, but dreams and possibilities. It represents what we can accomplish when we work together toward a common goal." She talked about the architectural features, the environmental considerations, the economic impact the project would have on the community. She was polished, professional, and completely in her element. "This project will create over 300 jobs during construction and permanent employment for over 100 people once completed," she said. "It will generate millions of dollars in tax revenue for our city. Most importantly, it will serve as a catalyst for additional development that will revitalize our entire downtown area." The crowd applauded enthusiastically. Camera flashes went off. Local news cameras captured every moment. "Thank you all for being here today to celebrate this milestone with us," Amanda concluded. "Now let's break some ground." More applause. Then the ceremonial groundbreaking began. Richard Mitchell, Tyler, Amanda, the mayor, and several city council members each took turns with golden shovels, digging small ceremonial holes in the ground while photographers captured the moment. Amanda was glowing. She looked happier than I'd ever seen her, and I'd known her for over 3 years. This was her moment of triumph, her professional breakthrough, her validation that she'd made all the right choices in life. I watched her pose for photos, hug Tyler, shake hands with investors, and bask in the congratulations of everyone around her. I checked my watch. 3:47 p.m. It was almost time. At exactly 4 p.m., I walked to a quiet area behind the catering tent and made a phone call. "City Planning Department, this is Rebecca speaking." "Hi, Rebecca, this is Ethan Johnson. I'm calling about the Mitchell Properties development project that just broke ground downtown. I have some important information about the property that I think the planning department needs to know immediately." "What kind of information, Mr. Johnson?" Historical information that appears to have been omitted from the environmental impact study. Specifically, the property contains unmarked graves from a cemetery that was incompletely relocated in the 1920s. There was a pause. Are you certain about this information? Absolutely certain. I have documentation from the city archives showing the original cemetery location and the incomplete relocation records. I can provide you with specific plot numbers and historical records that prove human remains are still on the property. Another pause. Longer this time. Mr. Johnson, if what you're saying is accurate, construction on that site needs to stop immediately. Can you come down to our office right now with this documentation? I'm actually at the site right now. I can be at your office in 15 minutes? Please do. And Mr. Johnson, don't discuss this with anyone else until we've had a chance to review your evidence. I hung up the phone and looked back toward the ceremony. The formal program was wrapping up, but people were still mingling, taking photos and celebrating. Amanda was in the center of it all, still radiant with success. I walked back to my car and drove to the city planning office, carrying a folder containing photocopies of all the historical documents I'd found. Rebecca turned out to be Rebecca Chen, the senior planning coordinator, and when she reviewed my evidence, her expression grew increasingly serious. "This is substantial," she said after examining the documents for 20 minutes. "Why wasn't this information included in the developer's environmental impact study?" "I have no idea," I said honestly. "Maybe they didn't dig deep enough into the historical records. Maybe they relied on incomplete information from previous surveys. But the evidence is clear. There are human remains on that property." Rebecca made several phone calls while I waited. First to her supervisor, then to someone at the state archaeological office, then to the city attorney's office. Each conversation was brief but intense. Finally, she turned back to me. "Mr. Johnson, based on the evidence you've provided, we're issuing an immediate stop work order for the Mitchell Properties development. Construction cannot continue until a complete archaeological survey is conducted, and any human remains are properly relocated." "How long will that take?" "Months minimum. Possibly over a year if the remains are extensive or historically significant. And that's assuming the developer chooses to proceed with the project at all, after the delays and additional costs. What happens now? We're sending inspectors to the site immediately to halt any ongoing work and secure the area. The developers will be notified within the hour." I thanked Rebecca and drove back toward the development site. The ceremony was still going on, though it looked like it was starting to wind down. I parked across the street and waited. At 4:47 p.m., 2 city vehicles pulled up to the site. Official-looking people in suits got out and walked directly to where Tyler and his father were talking with investors. I couldn't hear the conversation from where I was sitting, but I could see the body language. The city officials showed them some paperwork. Richard Mitchell's expression went from confusion to anger to what looked like panic. Tyler kept gesturing toward the ceremony tent, probably trying to argue that this could wait until after the event. But city officials don't care about your ceremony schedule when human remains are involved. Within 10 minutes, yellow caution tape was being strung around the entire property. The ceremonial groundbreaking holes were being covered with tarps. Signs were being posted declaring the site under archaeological investigation. The party was officially over. I watched as Richard Mitchell made urgent phone calls while Tyler tried to manage the crowd of confused guests. But it was Amanda's reaction that I was most interested in. She stood near the stage, still holding the golden shovel she'd used for the ceremony, watching in apparent disbelief as her perfect day disintegrated around her. Someone, probably Tyler, was explaining the situation to her, and I could see her face go pale as she began to understand what was happening. The media was having a field day. Camera crews that had come to film a celebratory groundbreaking were now documenting a dramatic halt to construction due to potential grave sites. This wasn't going to be buried in the business section of tomorrow's newspaper. This was going to be front-page news. Guests began leaving, investors looked concerned, and city officials continued their work securing the site. Within an hour, the celebration had turned into a disaster, but I wasn't done yet. Not even close. That evening, I sent an email to Sarah Martinez, the friend who had seen Amanda and Tyler together during our relationship. "Hey Sarah, thanks again for catching up the other day. I've been thinking about what you mentioned regarding seeing Amanda with that other guy before we broke up. I know this might seem strange, but would you be willing to write down exactly what you remember about when and where you saw them? I'm trying to put together a timeline for my own peace of mind." "I'd really appreciate it." Sarah responded the next morning with a detailed account of her observations. Dates, times, locations, descriptions of how Amanda and Tyler had behaved together. It corroborated everything the private investigator had found. I also reached out to 3 other people who had been part of our college social circle and asked similar questions. All of them remembered seeing Amanda with Tyler during our relationship, and all of them had thought it was odd, but hadn't wanted to get involved. By the end of the weekend, I had written statements from 4 different people confirming that Amanda had been carrying on a relationship with Tyler for much longer than she'd admitted to anyone. Monday morning's newspaper featured a large front-page article about the halted development. The headline read, "Major downtown project halted due to potential cemetery discovery." Amanda was quoted in the article, trying to put a positive spin on the situation. "We're committed to respecting the historical significance of our city," she'd said. "Mitchell Properties will work closely with the appropriate authorities to ensure that any archaeological concerns are properly addressed before moving forward." What the newspaper didn't mention was that the project's investors were already getting nervous. A $50 million development that might be delayed for a year or more. That's not exactly an attractive investment proposition, but I knew something the newspaper didn't know yet. This was just the beginning of Amanda's problems. On Tuesday, I created a detailed package containing copies of all the evidence I'd gathered about Amanda's affair. The private investigator's report, the witness statements, the photographic evidence, the financial records showing Tyler's support of Amanda during our relationship. I didn't send this package to Amanda or Tyler. That would have been pointless and probably illegal. Instead, I sent copies to 3 specific people: Mrs. Rodriguez, Amanda's mother, my own mother, and Tyler's business partner at Mitchell Properties. The letter that accompanied each package was brief and professional. "I thought you should be aware of information that has recently come to light regarding Amanda Rodriguez Mitchell. The enclosed documentation shows evidence of a romantic and financial relationship between Amanda and Tyler Mitchell that began approximately 18 months before Amanda ended her previous relationship. This information may be relevant to your personal or professional relationship with the individuals involved. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't demand any action. I simply provided information and let the recipients decide what to do with it. The results were swift and dramatic. Mrs. Rodriguez called my mother that same evening. According to my mom, who filled me in the next day, Mrs. Rodriguez was absolutely devastated by the revelation that her daughter had carried on an affair for so long. She said she never would have invited us to the wedding if she'd known how badly Amanda had treated you. My mom told me. She feels terrible about the whole situation. But more importantly, Mrs. Rodriguez called Amanda directly to confront her about the evidence. I know this because Amanda called me on Wednesday evening. "Ethan, what the hell is going on?" she said without preamble when I answered the phone. "My mother is furious with me. She's saying you sent her some kind of report about Tyler and me." "I shared some information that I thought she should know," I said calmly. "Information about the timeline of your relationship with Tyler." "What information? What are you talking about?" "Amanda, I know your relationship with Tyler started during our junior year. I have documentation, witness statements, photographs, financial records. I know he was supporting you financially while you were supposedly committed to me. I know you were living a double life for almost 2 years." The line was quiet for a long moment. Then, "How do you know all of this? Does it matter? What matters is that it's true, and now people know the truth. Ethan, why are you doing this? I thought we had worked everything out. I thought we were friends now." "Friends." She actually said friends. "Amanda, you destroyed my life 3 years ago. You made me question everything about myself, my worth, my future. You humiliated me in front of our entire college community. And then, on my birthday last month, my entire family chose to celebrate your wedding instead of celebrating with me. That wasn't my fault," she said, but her voice was shaking now. "Wasn't it? You invited them knowing how much it would hurt me. You asked about me, not out of concern, but to make sure I was sufficiently irrelevant that my feelings didn't matter. That's not true. Then why did you reach out to me for coffee? Why were you so eager to clear the air and be friends? Because you wanted to make sure I wasn't a threat to your perfect new life. You wanted to neutralize me as a potential problem. She was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. Ethan, please, I made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt you so badly. You cheated on me for 2 years, Amanda. 2 years. You let me work 2 jobs to save for an engagement ring while you were being supported by another man. You made me believe I was the problem, that I wasn't good enough, that I needed to work harder to deserve you. And when you finally left me for him, you made it seem like it was my fault for not being successful enough. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I'm sure you are. Sorry that you got caught. Sorry that people now know the truth about who you really are. I hung up. Thursday morning, I got a call from my sister. Ethan, what did you do? What do you mean? I mean, Amanda called me crying last night. She said you sent some kind of investigative report about her to a bunch of people. Mom told me about the stuff with her mother. What's going on? I explained the situation to Melissa. Not the part about the cemetery. That was going to remain my secret. But the part about discovering the timeline of Amanda's affair and sharing that information with relevant people. Jesus, Ethan, Melissa said when I finished. You hired a private investigator? I needed to know the truth. But why? Why does it matter now? You both moved on. Did we both move on, Melissa? Because from where I'm sitting, Amanda moved on to a richer man while I spent 3 years rebuilding my self-worth. She got everything she wanted, and I got therapy bills and trust issues. Melissa was quiet for a moment. Then, you're right. I didn't realize how much our going to her wedding hurt you. We should have been at your birthday dinner. Yes, you should have. But that's not why I did this. Then why? Because Amanda spent 3 years believing that her actions had no consequences. She destroyed my life and moved on without a second thought. I wanted her to understand that actions have consequences, even if they take time to catch up with you. Friday morning's newspaper had a follow-up article about the Mitchell Properties development. The headline read, Investors express concerns about halted downtown project. The article quoted several investors saying they were reassessing their involvement in the project pending resolution of the archaeological issues. But more interesting was a small item in the business section. Mitchell Properties Marketing Director takes leave of absence. The brief article mentioned that Amanda Rodriguez Mitchell had requested a temporary leave from her position to address personal matters. Personal matters. I wondered how Tyler had reacted to learning the full truth about his wife's previous relationship. I didn't have to wonder for long. Saturday afternoon, Tyler called me. We need to talk, he said without introduction. Do we? Meet me at Riverside Park in an hour, by the lake. I almost said no. I'd accomplished what I set out to do. Amanda's project was destroyed. Her reputation was damaged, and her marriage was clearly in trouble. I didn't owe Tyler anything, but I was curious. Riverside Park was nearly empty when I arrived. Tyler was already there, sitting on a bench overlooking the lake. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. You destroyed my wife's career, he said when I sat down next to him. No, I replied. I provided factual information to relevant people. Your wife's career problems are the result of her own choices. The cemetery thing, that was you too, wasn't it? I looked at him but didn't respond. It had to be, he continued. The timing was too perfect. Right after the groundbreaking ceremony, right when Amanda was at the peak of her success. You planned this whole thing. Your family's company should have done more thorough research before beginning development, I said. Historical records are public information. Tyler stared out at the lake. She told me the timeline was different, about when we started dating. She said it was after she broke up with you. And now you know better. Yeah, now I know better. He turned to look at me. She really hurt you, didn't she? It was the first time anyone had acknowledged that what Amanda had done to me was genuinely harmful. Yes, I said. She did. I didn't know. I mean, I knew she'd had a serious boyfriend before me, but she made it sound like it was just a college relationship that ran its course. It wasn't. Tyler was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, What do you want from me? Nothing. This isn't about you, Tyler. It's about Amanda understanding that her actions have consequences. Our marriage might not survive this, he said quietly. That's between you and her. I didn't create the problems in your marriage. I just revealed them. He nodded slowly. My business partner is furious. The investors are pulling out. The project is basically dead, at least for the foreseeable future. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? I thought about it. Actually, yes. I'm sorry that other people are being hurt by Amanda's choices. Your employees, your business partner, the investors, they didn't deserve this. But Amanda did. Amanda made her choices. Now she's living with the consequences. Tyler stood up to leave. For what it's worth, he said. I understand why you did this. If someone had done to me what she did to you, I probably would have wanted revenge too. After he left, I sat by the lake for another hour, thinking about everything that had happened. Amanda's perfect life was in ruins. Her career was destroyed. Her marriage was in jeopardy. Her relationship with her mother was damaged, and her reputation in the community was probably irreparable. The project she'd staked her professional identity on was dead, and everyone knew she was somehow connected to its failure. More importantly, she now understood what it felt like to have your future yanked away from you by someone else's selfish choices. But as I sat there, I realized something interesting. I didn't feel as satisfied as I'd expected to feel. Don't get me wrong. I felt vindicated. I felt like justice had been served. But I didn't feel the euphoric satisfaction I'd imagined I would feel when I first planned my revenge. What I felt was free. For 3 years, Amanda had occupied space in my head. Her betrayal had defined how I saw myself, how I approached relationships, how I planned my future. Even when I thought I'd moved on, she was still there, a constant reminder of my inadequacy and failure. But now, watching her perfect life crumble under the weight of her own choices, I realized that she was just a person who had made selfish decisions. She wasn't some powerful force that controlled my destiny. She was just a woman who had chosen money over love and was now dealing with the consequences of that choice. The hold she'd had over my life was finally broken. Sunday evening, I got a text message from Amanda. Can we please talk? I need to explain some things. I didn't respond. Monday, I got another message. Ethan, please, I know you're angry, but there are things you don't understand about what happened between us. I deleted it without responding. Tuesday, Tyler and I are separated. My mother isn't speaking to me. I lost my job. Please just give me a chance to tell you my side of the story. I blocked her number. Because here's the thing. I didn't need to hear her side of the story. I didn't need her explanations or her apologies or her justifications. For 3 years, I'd wondered what I could have done differently, how I could have been a better boyfriend, what signs I'd missed that might have prevented the betrayal. Now I knew the truth. There was nothing I could have done differently. Amanda's betrayal wasn't about my inadequacy. It was about her character. She was someone who was capable of living a double life for 2 years. Someone who could lie to someone she claimed to love while planning to leave them for someone richer. That wasn't a reflection of my worth. That was a reflection of hers. 3 weeks later, I ran into my cousin Jake at a grocery store downtown. Hey man, he said, looking a little uncomfortable. How are you doing? I'm doing well, I said, and I meant it. Listen, about Amanda and everything that's been happening, I wanted you to know that I feel terrible about going to her wedding instead of your birthday. We all do. It's okay, Jake, really. No, it's not okay. We should have been there for you. Family should come first. You're right, I said. Family should come first. I'm glad you understand that now. He nodded. For what it's worth, I think what happened to her project and everything, maybe she had it coming. Maybe she did. Are you doing okay, though? I mean, really okay? I thought about the question. Was I okay? My career was going well. I'd been promoted to senior marketing associate and was working on campaigns for major clients. My relationship with my family had improved significantly since they'd realized the extent of what Amanda had done to me. I'd started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I was open to the possibility of finding someone who would choose me for the right reasons. Most importantly, I'd proven to myself that I wasn't the passive victim Amanda had left behind. When someone wronged me, I was capable of fighting back intelligently and effectively. Yeah, I told Jake, I'm really okay. And that was the truth. 6 months later, I heard through mutual friends that Amanda and Tyler had divorced. She'd moved back in with her parents and was working at a small marketing firm in a neighboring town for about half the salary she'd been making at Mitchell Properties. Tyler had recovered from the business disaster better than expected. He'd started a new development company with a different partner and was apparently doing well. The cemetery site had been thoroughly excavated by the state archaeological team. They'd found the remains of 17 people, along with several historically significant artifacts from the 1800s. The discovery had actually turned out to be quite important for local historians, and the site was eventually turned into a small memorial park. I drove by it sometimes on my way to work. There was a plaque that read, "In memory of the early settlers who built our community, discovered 2025, preserved for future generations." I never told anyone that I was the one who had made the discovery possible. A year after my revenge plan came to fruition, I was promoted again, this time to marketing director at my company. The promotion came with a significant salary increase and a corner office downtown. On my 26th birthday, my entire family came to my apartment for dinner. All the same people who had missed my 25th birthday for Amanda's wedding were there, celebrating with me, bringing thoughtful gifts, and making sure I felt appreciated and loved. During dinner, my mother made a toast to Ethan, who has shown all of us what it means to persevere through difficult times and come out stronger on the other side. Everyone raised their glasses, and I felt genuinely happy for the first time in years. After dinner, as people were getting ready to leave, my sister pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you," she said. "For what?" "For not letting what Amanda did define you, for fighting back when you needed to, for becoming the person you are now." "Thank you, Melissa. Can I ask you something, though?" "Sure. Do you ever regret it? What you did to her?" I thought about the question carefully. Did I regret destroying Amanda's career and marriage? Did I regret exposing her lies and forcing her to face consequences for her choices? "No," I said finally. "I don't regret it. She made her choices and I made mine. For the first time in my life, when someone tried to destroy me, I fought back instead of just accepting it." "Good," Melissa said. "You deserved better than what she gave you." As my family left that night, I stood in my apartment, a nicer apartment now thanks to my promotions, and reflected on how different my life was from a year ago. A year ago, I was a bitter, defeated person who felt powerless against the people who had hurt me. I was someone who accepted betrayal and humiliation because I didn't think I deserved better. Now I was someone who understood his own worth, someone who wouldn't accept being treated poorly, someone who was capable of standing up for himself when necessary. The revenge I'd taken against Amanda hadn't just destroyed her life, it had rebuilt mine, and that more than anything else felt like true victory. 2 years later, I was engaged to a wonderful woman named Jennifer, who chose me not because of what I could give her, but because of who I was. She knew the whole story about Amanda and my revenge, and she supported the choices I'd made. "You fought for yourself," she told me. "That's exactly what someone should do when they're betrayed like that." At our engagement party, surrounded by friends and family who genuinely cared about me, I realized that Amanda's betrayal had actually been a gift. It had forced me to discover my own strength, my own worth, and my own capacity for strategic thinking. Without her betrayal, I might have remained someone who accepted poor treatment from others. Instead, I became someone who demanded better. 3 years after my revenge, I received an unexpected piece of information. My private investigator, Jim, called me out of the blue. "Ethan, I thought you should know something. Amanda Rodriguez, your ex, she was arrested last week." "Arrested for what?" "Embezzlement. Apparently she was stealing money from her new employer. Small amounts over several months, but it added up. She's facing felony charges." I wasn't surprised. Someone who was capable of living a double life for 2 years, someone who was comfortable lying and deceiving people she claimed to love, was certainly capable of stealing money when her comfortable lifestyle was threatened. "Thanks for letting me know, Jim. There's something else," he said. "I heard through some contacts that she blamed you for ruining her life. She told people that if you hadn't destroyed her career, she never would have been desperate enough to steal." I almost laughed. Even facing criminal charges, Amanda was still unable to take responsibility for her own choices. It was everyone else's fault. Mine, Tyler's, her circumstances, never hers. "That's interesting," I said. "The thing is, Ethan, what you did to her was completely legal. You provided factual information to relevant people. You didn't lie, you didn't break any laws, you didn't hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. What she did to you, and what she's doing now, those are the actions of someone with serious character flaws." "I appreciate you saying that, Jim. You did the right thing, son. Sometimes people need to face consequences for their actions, even if those consequences take a while to catch up with them. After I hung up, I realized that Amanda's arrest felt like the final chapter in a story that had begun with her betrayal and my family's abandonment on my 25th birthday. She had made a choice to live dishonestly, first with me and Tyler, then with her employer. Those choices had consequences that extended far beyond my revenge. I had simply been the catalyst that started her downward spiral, but she had continued that spiral through her own poor decisions. I, on the other hand, had chosen to fight back intelligently and then move forward with my life. I had built a successful career, maintained good relationships with my family, found love with someone who valued me, and become a person I was proud to be. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. As I finish telling you this story, I want to make something clear. I'm not advocating that everyone should seek revenge when they're wronged. Revenge is dangerous, and it can consume you if you're not careful. But I am saying that sometimes, when someone destroys your life without consequences, when they hurt you badly and then move on as if you never mattered, when your own family chooses to celebrate their success instead of supporting you, sometimes fighting back is the only way to reclaim your power and self-worth. Amanda thought she could treat people as disposable, that she could lie and cheat and betray without facing any real consequences. She was wrong. My family thought they could abandon me on my birthday for someone who had destroyed me, and that I would just accept it because I was too weak to do anything about it. They were wrong too. And most importantly, I learned that I was stronger, smarter, and more capable than I had ever given myself credit for. The woman who destroyed my life 3 years ago is now facing felony charges and has lost everything she gained through her deception. The family who abandoned me on my birthday now treats me with the respect I deserve, and never again takes my presence in their lives for granted. And me? I'm living my best life, surrounded by people who value me, doing work I love, and engaged to a woman who chose me for all the right reasons. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even. It's becoming so much better than the person who tried to destroy you that their betrayal becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. If you enjoyed this revenge story, smash that like button. Drop a comment below telling me what you would have done in this situation. Subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss when I upload new content.